The all-time record for the most comments on a singular Steelers talk video is 121 comments. If you want to break that record today, you can possibly get a shout-out on tomorrow's show. The person that gets the most comments on today's video is going to get a special shout-out on tomorrow's Steelers Talk. Welcome into Steelers Talk, Yinzers. My name is Jack Sperry. Today on the show, I'm going to be talking about a report that the Pittsburgh Steelers are sticking with Dan Moore Jr. as their starting left tackle next season. And then also Steeler Nation wrote an article on 5 perfect fits that are still available in free agency that the black and gold can still add. I'm going to get to that in just a second. But first, we are going to get into this Dan Moore Jr. story because we've been talking about replacements for him all offseason long, but it's looking like, according to Gerry Dulac from the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, that the Steelers could be considering keeping Dan Moore Jr. as their starting left tackle next season. This is what Gerry Dulac had to say. If they thought they could get a top-tier left tackle at number 1, meaning first round, it wouldn't surprise me to see them do that. I don't think they are in panic mode about Dan Moore Jr. like the fans seem to be. And then also Dulac was asked about if he thinks Dan Moore Jr. is going to be the starting left tackle in 2023, and he says, I think he will be. And his reasoning for that is that he doesn't think one of those top 3 offensive tackle prospects are going to make it to the Steelers at number 17. If those guys are off the board, the Steelers will stick with Dan Moore Jr. I'm going to let you know what I think about this in just a second, but let me know what you guys think about potentially keeping Dan Moore Jr. as the starter at left tackle next season. Will Dan Moore Jr. be the starting left tackle for the Pittsburgh Steelers next season? Type yes or type no. This is going to be the pinned comment on today's show. So here's what's going to happen, guys. YouTube's going to throw an ad break your way. It's just the way that it works. Take advantage of that time by going down to the comment section, finding that pinned comment, and answering today's question. So I think Gerry is half right here. I think that personally, I think that the Steelers are looking to replace Dan Moore Jr., but I don't think they're desperate to go get one right? Because Dan Moore Jr. drafted him in the middle rounds a couple years ago, back in 2021. He played better down the stretch last year, but personally, I'm not sure if he's a great fit for what the Steelers are looking to do on offense heading into 2023. They drafted Dan Moore Jr. when they just hired Matt Canada. They were shifting to more of a zone-heavy run scheme, and they wanted guys like Dan Moore Jr. who are decent zone blockers. But the thing is, Dan Moore Jr. has never been a power blocker, and now once again the Steelers are shifting to a power run scheme. So I'm not sure how well he still fits in this system. But here's where I think the Steelers are going to go. I think that they won't force themselves to draft an offensive tackle, right? If one of the top guys here in this draft, we're going to get to those guys in just a second, aren't there, I think that they'd be okay with Dan Moore Jr., but I think that their strategy right now is to definitely try and land one of these top 3 guys in this year's draft class. And those top 3 guys are right here: Peter Skoronski, Paris Johnson Jr., and Broderick Jones. These guys are the cream of the crop, in my opinion. There's some other good offensive tackles like Anton Harrison, Darnell Wright, DeJuan Jones, but I think that these are the 3 guys that I think fit what the Steelers are looking to do, that both have experience and success playing on the left side of the formation, and then also I think that they fit the power run scheme. Anton Harrison's a good offensive tackle, but I think he's a zone guy, not a power guy. So these are the guys I think would fit what the Steelers are looking for. And if these guys aren't there, I think it's definitely possible that Dan Moore Jr. is the starting left tackle for the Pittsburgh Steelers next season. So coming up here in just a second, I'm going to be revealing the 5 perfect fits, according to Steeler Nation, in free agency that are still available for the Steelers to sign. Some very interesting names there. But first, man, we have these awesome Steelers draft hats on our website right now, and let me tell you guys, they are going fast. We only got a couple more left in a couple of these colors. This is the official draft hat right here with this silver or gray with the gold lettering and the logo there in the center. I think they look sweet this year, but my personal favorite is this black and gold one, man. I think this one is sweet. I'm probably going to get this one for myself, probably wear it on a Steelers Talk Live show here pretty soon, guys. I think this one's going to be awesome. If we go live during the draft, I'll probably be wearing this hat. So if you want to get the same headgear that the 2023 Pittsburgh Steelers draft class is going to have this year, get yours today. Shop while supplies last, because they're going quick, guys. Chatsports.com/Steelers draft hat to get your Steelers draft hat today. All right, so now let's get into these 5 names because Steeler Nation put out a list here of 5 perfect fits in free agency for the black and gold. I think there's some interesting names here. First up here, Isaiah Wynn, offensive tackle. They seem to really think that the Steelers are trying to replace Dan Moore Jr., and Isaiah Wynn is one of those guys that could be in the running. Donovan Smith, former Bucs offensive tackle, and then also Taylor Lewan are other free agency options. But Isaiah Wynn, right at this point, he's probably going to take at this point, I think what happened with Isaiah Wynn is he wanted a lot more money than the market was willing to give him. So I think that if you sign him, if you're the Steelers right now, he's a good power blocking tackle. He's played mostly right tackle, but I think he could move over to left tackle if you really wanted him to. And you're probably going to get him on a pretty decent contract because at this point in free agency, he's probably going to accept a lower contract. But I at this point, after signing LaRaven Clark and having Dan Moore Jr. on the roster, I think it's less likely that Pittsburgh signs another offensive tackle in free agency. I think that they'll go to the draft with the strategy of trying to land one of those top 3 guys, and if they get one of them, great, but if not, I think that they're probably good with sticking with Dan Moore Jr. in 2023. Next up on their list, edge rusher Yannick Ngakoue here, formerly with the Colts last season, and man, this guy is a consistent performer. Look at his stats over the last 4 years here. 9.5 sacks, 10 sacks, 8 sacks, and two 8-sack performances in 2020 and 2019. This guy is a consistent performer, and if the Steelers could add him as like a third edge rusher, a rotational piece on like third downs to kind of come in relief for TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith, this guy would be one of the best rotational edge rushers in the National Football League, in my opinion. There's a ton of teams right now here at Chat Sports that are saying Yannick Ngakoue to their team because this guy's a really good player, because he could be a really valuable piece for the Steelers if they could grab him. He would be a great addition. And if you take a look at his numbers versus Bud Dupree's numbers, who's the guy that's been the most rumored to the Steelers at this point, you can definitely argue that Ngakoue has better numbers, man. You look at that, 9.5 sacks to 4 sacks, 1 fumble, 1 forced fumble, 8 for a piece there. More games for Yannick Ngakoue, which is another thing. He stays more healthy than Bud Dupree. He's been hurt for a couple of years now. I really think that Yannick Ngakoue is the better player, but I wouldn't mind adding either one of these guys. But pick for me in the comments section right now which guy you would like to add to the Steelers pass rush. If you'd rather do Yannick Ngakoue, type YN, or if you'd rather do Bud Dupree, go BD for me in the comments section. Next up on Steeler Nation's list of perfect free agency fits, Jarvis Landry, and I completely 100% agree with this one, guys. You guys know how much I've been advocating for the Steelers to go and get a veteran like Jarvis Landry, somebody that knows the ropes, somebody that would be a great mentor to Calvin Austin III. And then not only that, but he's 5'11", 196 pounds, and a good run blocker from the slot. That's exactly what the Steelers need right now, because Calvin Austin III, their current starting slot receiver, he's like 5'9", 165 pounds, and he's not going to be doing much in this power run scheme on early down. So if you add a guy like Jarvis Landry, you get a great locker room presence, you get a big body that's a good run blocker. I think that this would be a fantastic depth piece for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and he would actually see the field quite a bit and give them a different flavor at the slot wide receiver position. And then this is where it kind of goes off the rails, guys. He adds 2 more receivers here to his list, Kenny Golladay and N'Keal Harry. And personally, guys, I don't think that they're perfect fits by any means, but I guess bring him in for depth. I mean, I guess if the contract is right, if you're bringing him in on a really like vet minimum type contract to be like a backup X receiver, I think that'd be okay. But I mean, neither of these guys have really put up numbers over the last couple of years, right, guys? I mean, 116 yards for N'Keal Harry over 7 games last year. Are you kidding me? Same thing with Kenny Golladay that went to New York and was just absolutely terrible. He had some success in Detroit, but he hasn't been any good in years. How are these 2 guys perfect fits for the Pittsburgh Steelers? I just don't get it. I think that they probably will add another receiver this offseason, probably a bigger slot guy, whether it be in free agency like Jarvis Landry or in the draft, someone like a Jonathan Mingo. But getting a backup X receiver, I'm not sure if it's a perfect fit. I'm not quite sure why they put this on their list, to be quite honest with you guys. Let me know in the comment section what you guys think here. Should the Steelers sign another wide receiver during NFL free agency? Type S if you would like to sign another receiver, or if you'd rather pass and maybe wait to the draft, type P in the comment section. That's going to do it for today's show, guys. But I wanted to show you guys these amazing results to last week's sub battle. We had a division-wide sub battle last week, and we absolutely blew everybody out of the water like we always do here on Steelers Talk. 441 new subscribers last week. Absolutely fantastic. Second place was Browns at 194, and then Bengals and Ravens were way, way back there. We all know that those guys are poverty franchises. And speaking of the Browns Report, here is the host of the Browns Report, Matthew Peterson. Doesn't he look like a Browns fan, man? Dude, your team is named after a color. It's a poverty franchise. Let them know in the comments section for me right now by typing FPD in the comments section if you hate the Cleveland Browns. Make sure you get those comments in, man. He needs to know that the Browns are a poverty franchise, and they need to hear that, guys. So that's going to be it for today's show. I really appreciate you, Steeler Nation. I will see you guys tomorrow. Peace.